Last night's clash between Liverpool and Man United was everything a rivalry like this should be. Great individual performances, end-to-end football, and drama right to the last kick of the game. But I think it's safe to say few people expected a performance like that from Man United. The lead up to this match had Liverpool, who have been the best team in the Premier League and the Champions League, as clear favourites against this Man United team that is clearly going through some growing pains under Ruben Amorim. But in last night's clash, rivalry took over, and it was a much more mature performance from Man United. They sacrificed themselves to defend as a unit, and looked a lot more comfortable in possession, showing glimpses of how dangerous this system could be in the future. Liverpool, on the other hand, showed why they have one of the most dangerous attacking units in Europe, exploiting gaps in Man United's defence and creating attacks at lightning speed, but also showing some defensive fragility at times. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at why Man United looks so much better in possession, the spaces Liverpool was still able to take advantage of in attack, and why the game completely opened up in the second half. Let's take a look. Welcome to talkSPORT. My name is Cormac from Football Meta. Liverpool and Man United share a point in an end-to-end thriller, where both teams had some great chances to take home all 3 points. It's a result that means Liverpool maintain their 6-point lead at the top of the table with a game in hand over Arsenal, whilst Man United end their 3-game losing streak and move above West Ham into 13th, still a long way from where they hope to finish the season. Now, last night's match was essentially a game of 2 halves. The first was slightly more tactical, with both teams keeping to their shape more consistently, while in the second half the game completely opened up with some big chances falling for both teams. But let's start with Man United, because there's some subtle differences from their previous performances that made them more dangerous in possession. As usual under Amorim, Man United started the game in a 3-4-2-1, with the biggest differences from their game against Newcastle being the introduction of Man Utd and Ugarte as the midfielders, and Fernandes returning from his suspension. From goal kicks, Onana almost always went long, and Man United did cope quite well with the second ball, either flicking it forward in behind to chase, or regaining possession and starting their attacks from a slightly more advanced position, an area of the pitch where in previous games they would struggle to break the first press from the opposition, and would often find themselves getting trapped on the flank, as they would instantly move possession out wide into the wingbacks that had little support. But against Liverpool, they were much more comfortable in possession. They would look to keep the ball in a central position for longer periods of play, and would force Liverpool's 4-2-4 press to push forward and close them down. And rather than going out wide instantly, players like Maguire and Martinez would look for these central passes to break the first press. We'll take a look at Liverpool in more detail later on, but one key trait of their press is that it's the wingers that push forward to close off the centre-backs, usually forcing play centrally, where they have more numbers to regain possession. But if you can catch them out of time, it means the wing-backs can have space to receive the ball, either indirectly or with a quick pass out wide. And because of the positioning of Fernandes and Diallo, Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold had a hard time gaining ground and closing off these passes. Here's an example of this structure, with Salah rushing to close down Martinez, who finds Dalot in acres of space to receive the ball, as Trent can't push forward because of Fernandes. While in this clip, Maguire takes advantage of the press coming from the flank to play an excellent ball forward into Fernandes, who plays a one-time pass into Mazraoui overlapping. The way the wingbacks were positioned was much more effective in this game for Man United. They were in a slightly deeper position, meaning it was easier to circulate possession, and when they were closed down, it opened up a space on the flank for United to attack. A great chance actually came when Dalot and Fernandes inverted their roles, with Fernandes playing an excellent ball forward into Dalot, taking advantage of Trent not following his movement effectively, but couldn't quite get the delivery right for Diallo. This more confident type of possession for Man United did lead to more chances than we have seen in previous matches. They exploited Liverpool's high line more consistently with balls in behind for Højlund, and would look for long switches in play to drag Liverpool's defensive line apart, subsequently finding players attacking the half spaces more often. The opening goal from Martinez at the start of the second half came after they were able to regain possession high up the pitch with a well-executed counter-press, before Fernandes played an excellent ball into the unmarked Martinez, who finished the move brilliantly. Now, Liverpool's equaliser came shortly after from a pretty similar scenario, with Liverpool regaining possession high up the pitch. But the way they played in possession was completely different to Man United. The only change for Liverpool after their 5-0 win against West Ham was the reintroduction of Konate as centre-back. And the way they looked to build their attacks was pretty consistent with how they've played all season. While Gravenberch and McAllister start as the holding midfielders, they take it in turns acting as the single pivot, usually with McAllister gaining ground further up the pitch, but he was much more active as the pivot in this game against Man United. While the players on the flanks are usually pretty positional in nature, Arne Slot wants as much rotation as possible in the centre of the pitch, and Liverpool don't play with a recognisable centre forward, meaning as Diaz will rotate, either Jones, McAllister or Gakpo can also end up playing down the middle, and it makes it very difficult for the opposition to understand which spaces they need to cover. At the start of this game, Man United were defending in a deep position, and would force Liverpool to build their attacks out wide. However, Dalot was doing an excellent job at keeping Salah at bay for the vast majority of the time, and so Liverpool needed to find a way through the middle. And they did that by rotating and being more aggressive in possession, with more and more players joining the attack. By moving possession out wide, it would drag Ugarte and Mainoo over to that flank, before rotating back and having players like Gravenberch pushing forward to break Man United's front line. This central progression led to some decent opportunities in the first half. But the true beauty of this system can be seen in how they exploit space in behind the defensive line. Because Man United want to close off any player in the centre, it means they will often follow their movement if they drop to receive the ball. And Liverpool would take advantage of this by having Jones and Diaz drag the defenders apart, opening up a space for players like McAllister to push forward. We can see an excellent example of this here. As Liverpool build their attack out wide, Jones moves closer to Salah, while Diaz moves closer to the second post, opening up a huge gap for McAllister to run into and force a save from Onana. A similar example can be seen in this clip here, as Martinez is dragged out of position following Jones. Trent rotates forward and is ready to exploit the gap that was left at the back, before an excellent defensive interception from Maguire. These opportunities came when the game was still tied at 0-0, but after both teams got on the score sheet, the game really started to open up. And there's a few reasons why the second half was so open. Firstly, if you're a betting man, this was the game for you, with 14 corners and 23 free kicks, many of which were high in the opposition's half. This left lots of opportunities for the defending team to counter-attack quickly, leading to the pitch getting stretched consistently, and minutes of end-to-end football for both teams. Secondly, and more crucially, both managers made pretty offensive substitutions in the late stages of the game. Slot replaced Diaz and Jones for Núñez and Jota looking for the winner, while Mainoo was replaced by Garnacho when Man United were looking for an equaliser. This resulted in both teams having less cover in midfield, and every time there was a change in possession, the counter-press was less effective, meaning it was easier for the team in possession to gain ground quickly. Towards the end of the game, both teams had some huge chances to take home all 3 points, but the biggest arguably fell to Maguire right at the end of the match. But a poor pass from Xerxes made it a much harder shot for Maguire to finish effectively, as it bounced just before he had to take his shot. Overall, Man United did benefit from great individual performances from players like Ugarte, Fernandes and Maguire, but did seem a little bit rash at times, with players like De Ligt seeming a bit too eager to lunge in for tackles and getting caught out of time for Gakpo's goal. On the other hand, Liverpool's quality is clearly evident, but they did struggle at times in this match. Salah looked pretty dangerous when the game opened up, but Dalot did a good job at keeping him quiet for the vast majority of the game. But the headlines are understandably focusing on a really poor defensive performance from Trent Alexander-Arnold, getting caught in behind countless times and making people wonder if all this news of transfers is getting to his head and will affect his performances going forward. But what did you make of this game? Do you think a draw was a fair result? And if not, who do you think deserved to win this match? If you enjoyed this video, I have more breakdowns on both Liverpool and Man United on my channel, Football Meta. Thanks for watching.